Hey, so today we're going to talk about If on a Winter's Night a Traveler, one of the most renowned novels of that one class we took. So, let's get started. I love that post Zoom.
Let's get lit. Episode 3, season 15. We're gonna get canceled soon.
Hey, where'd you put my book?
Oh.
I lost my book. I have my notes.
There are many back and forth things to say about this book. So, quick plot summary.
Is there a plot summary?
There is no plot summary at all.
Well,
two people go on an adventure to find a complete book that is never going to be complete.
Well, it's,
ever.
Yeah, that's another robust part of the story. But if I understand this right, it's about a reader reading this book, but also talking about the process that he's reading it in, and there's also a story within the story. So let's talk about theme and structure first. I would argue that it's non-linear, which F's me up.
It's not linear. It's okay. The book breaks off into different Hello everybody. This book, there's a chapter when it's on the main character and the female friend who are trying to find the book, but then it breaks off to when suddenly it's in a whole different book. And each chapter it kind of changes from real world to book world and just keeps going back and forth as they piece together this one final story. So is it linear? It's the main story. There's definitely a linear story in there, but the book just goes all over the freaking place that it's just so hard to find what you're actually a basic theme or story in this book.
Yeah. And I think, okay, so I picked out this quote because I don't get why. But, so it's in the beginning of chapter 3, it says, "The pleasures derived from the use of a paper knife are tactile, auditory, visual, and especially mental. Progress in reading is preceded by an act that traverses the material solidarity." I'm just gonna stop there. I can't even say it. I feel like an intro to chapter 3, this is when the reader who's reading this book is talking out loud. From my perception, it's his thought process of, I'm reading this book, let me talk through it. But, and like, I'm the type of person who, I'm just really overstimulated right now. I can take meaning from anything. Give me a pile of dog poop on the ground, I will find meaning of it. But this book...
You could have used any other imagery, like any other example in the world.
I could have used any other example. Okay, dog poop, I can make it meaningful.
Don't make the video about dog poop.
I'm not. This video is not about dog poop. But my point is that I can make meaning out of anything. Anything. Give me anything. But this book I can't. And I've tried over and over. When I read it for class a year ago, I did everything I could in my little heart, my big old heart, to make reasoning out of this. But there's just the transitions don't function for me structurally. The themes aren't permanent or concrete, so I struggle to point them out. And this is not a trait of Jess at all.
Steal. So the ending, not the ending of the book, but my ending thoughts for this book is like, the only thing that I could come up with this story that really there's not an ending to, it just kind of stops, is that this is going to be such like a Disney underlying theme that it's just like that the book lives on in the heart of the reader, or the book lives on in the heart of the author that wrote this book. This book made me sweat. I sweat when I read this book out of pure curiosity. Curiosity is the word I'm gonna use.
Were the act of being furious?
The act of me being furious. I was angry. I haven't sweated this much since the SAT. Like, that is what this book did to me. And
sweat glands, am I right?
Sweat glands, am I right? Okay, I guess our back and forth question time.
We're gonna do like a Q&A for each other. So enjoy this next segment.
I'll do something basic to start out with. Can we do a talking stick? Yeah. The person who holds the book?
Yeah.
Okay.
The book is the talking hole.
The talking
thing.
Stick. Talking hole?
It's...
Okay.
Woo!
Okay. Question 1. Simple question. Would you teach this to a high school class? And if so, what grade would be your limit on how low? Yeah.
Personally, only if it were AP, because my students as seniors in honors classes, which is the highest level at Robbinsville, they struggled with The Hobbit at certain points in time, although they eventually got it when we talked about it. And The Hobbit is it's a book catered, it was written originally as a kid's story, a kid's narrative. So this, because it's not exactly clear what the whole story is about, there's not a clear summary, I would not teach it unless it's an AP class, and I know that my students could fumble around with it like they need to, because I just feel like if college level people are really struggling to even talk about, like right now, what it's about, like my kids aren't going to be able to do it. And I think this is a novel that I think if you're reading things like The Hobbit and stories with linear, consistent characters, all that, I think that this novel throwing in there could throw a wrench into it, the whole thing of the semester, and create an excitement, or it could create like an atomic bomb explosion. So I'd be very careful who and when I taught it, and I wouldn't teach it until I had a lot of experience teaching on my own in general, because it's a difficult text. It's not difficult material, it's difficult text. I'm having trouble speaking today, but it's a difficult text. And so I'd want to teach it, but I don't think I would.
Difficult is a small word to use for this text.
Yeah, so I marked some parts, just real quick, let me see which one's the most important right now. There's one quote I want to talk about. Okay, so this is, I think this is the reader, the reader reading through this book. And it says, in drawing a true portrait of you, beginning with the frame in drawing a true portrait of you, beginning with the frame and enclosing you from every side, establishing the outlines of your form. You appeared for the first time to the reader in a bookshop. You took shape, detaching yourself from the wall of shelves, as if the quantity of books made the presence of a young lady reader necessary. What? Why? Okay. See, and this is like halfway through the text. So I think when I was reading this, at this point, I was starting to be like, oh wow, this is great. But then the story would just break off somewhere else into the other storyline with the two characters in the book that the reader is reading. So it's just like, there's not a quotable moment in the book, it's all quotable. It's like the author, Italo Calvino, just took all the really intelligent notions that he had in his life, all those nuances, and put them in one book and tried to make it happen. And in the wise words from Mean Girls, which character is it? Gretchen. Stop. Oh no, it's not Gretchen. It's no, it's not. Regina says, "Stop trying to make fetch happen" to Gretchen, and Italo Calvino needs to, whatever his fucking name is, needs to stop trying to make this happen, because it just. Would you teach it to a class? Would you teach it to 12th grade at Robbinsville? Would you?
I think we have. So wait, you're saying you didn't like the book? Like you said, stop making this happen?
It's not that I disliked it. I constantly had to go in and correct my perception of the book as I was reading. So it was really challenging. And even talking about it now, I'm stumbling over my words so much because there's just so many nuances in this. And plus breaking that fourth wall, the 10th wall,
16th wall, but
16th chapel.
To answer that question, would I teach this to? Would I teach this to my class? I would not teach this to my class until I was mentally, physically, spiritually, strong enough to handle this again. But on the opposing side of what she just said, like, I love a book that gives me an intense challenge, and gives me, like everybody says, nobody will ever read the same book twice, because. You ever heard that before?
Yeah, I have.
Like, it'll say no two people will read the same book and no one person will read the same book twice. I forget who said it. I think that's a quote from Boatwright.
Boatwright, did you say that?
Did you say that?
MLA citation.
Yeah, MLA citation. But,
I got sneeze.
But this is one of those books.
You can just bleep that.
But it's one of those books that, like, when I legitimately go back and read through it, I'm finding many different things. Like, let's say if we use the past ones that we, let's say if I use The Road, talked about The Road, if I use The Hobbit, what other books that I read? If I read The Odyssey, blah, blah, there's that linear story that doesn't change for me. Like, it's always going to be man and the boy trying to survive, blah, blah, crap happens. Just The Odyssey, man goes on a boat ride, it's all the same. But this book, it's like, even though the first linear plot, or the main linear plot is the same, and is going to be the same every time I read it, I'm going to get something completely different from this book for the next 12,000 times that I read it, because it's not just one story, it's compacted with 10 different novels. Not only 10 different novels that the main character of this story wants to read for himself, but I'm like, now to get a full understanding of what I just read, I have to read these other 10 different novels all the way through, and then develop an understanding for those 10 novels, but then those are going to be different every time I read those as well. So there's never going to be this underlying meaning for this book, and I love that fact, especially for a classroom setting, because this would be a book that I wouldn't have to focus testing on or anything. There's no legit question I could ask that would be like good for an end of grade testing, like, well, how does this book end, or where did Bob get the pitchfork to kill the rabbit? I don't know. Like, I can't ask basic questions like that. I don't even know if I'd have to ask questions to get them to think. I would just be like, what happened here? And everyone would be like, I don't know, Mr. C, kill me. Just like what I was saying to myself. Like, I love this book, and I would teach it when I'm comfortably ready to stand on my own firm meaning of things, and also be able to accept a separate meaning when I read it, and then like 20-something other meanings when my students read back to me what they think it means. Did I answer what you wanted me to answer?
To build off that real quick, yeah, I think now that you say that, I agree. And on the last page of the book, it says, it's concluding the story, whatever. It says the ultimate meaning to which all stories refer to has two faces: the continuity of life and the inevitability of death. And I mean, that's not the last line. That's like third from the bottom, but details. I think that's the point of the story. It's that some things just don't have answers, and I think that's important, because if we look at The Hobbit, of course, when you're teaching English, there's more room for perception-based answers rather than like math x equals 6, but this is a great example of something that isn't definite, and just like many things in life aren't definite. And I think that this could be a really cool lesson in reading a text that isn't black and white, and reading a text that really doesn't fit into our literature at all, I would argue. I think that's why it could be effective in a classroom. I agree with what Bo just said all about that. I think because it does play with your head, and it plays with all the things that we know and learn and teach students and have learned ourselves, it attacks all of it with one swift swoop, and it's just
swift swoop.
Like, it's a book that dwells emotion from anybody who reads it, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't really matter. It's the fact that there's a reaction. And I think good literature arguably does that. Creates a reaction out of nothing, out of something, whatever.
Okay, sweet. And this will be the last question that I ask for Jess in this video, but off the story itself and onto, I'm going to go to my article presentation from the other day. Do you feel that the main character and Ludmilla, do you think the love story between them was forced? Because by the end of this novel, they end up getting married. The very end right there?
Yeah.
But do you think the story focuses too much on that love story and or pushes them together? And do you think that the story could have been just as good, if not better, if it would have just kept that whole love story out of it?
Well, I think the story really forced the love portion of the story, but I also think it's making a commentary on how not only people force each other toward other people, if that makes sense, but that literature in general forces two people, usually a male and a female, together. It could be a story like The Fault in Our Stars, a really nice commentary on adolescent cancer, and then you involve a love story, and then the main character who doesn't have cancer in the beginning of the text ends up dying from cancer, and the girl who had cancer throughout the whole book is alive. It's just like, take away the love story, strip it down, remove it. I'm mad now thinking about it. I think that when stories, you take a good story and you add a love story, a heteronormative, boring, like black and white story about a male and a female who inevitably fall in love and happily ever after. Of course, Fault in Our Stars, it's not happy after because the character you think isn't going to die dies. Anyway, the point is, I think this story could, like other texts, could be so much better and richer without the love story. I think Calvino had a point of adding it in, but I think it just distracted my perception of the story overall because it makes me focus on, as a person, it makes me focus on what's the point. Like, he sees this mysterious girl, she has a suitcase, and then the story just unfolds and morphs. I just think it's I don't know if it's pointless. I wouldn't say it's pointless because I just said it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I just think it's unnecessary. Like, give me a love story that I haven't read before. Give me 2 men. Give me 2 women. Give me 2 people who don't identify as any strict gender. Like, don't just give me this male and female. What's that word? Like the typical a scope? No, it's a. What's that word, Dr. B? It's like a scope, a trope. A trope? A trope.
Trope.
Wow, a scope. Okay, yeah. It's a basic trope of boy girl love, and they find each other in the end, and at the end in this book he decides that he's gonna marry her. Okay, but what about her decision? Like, oh, he's gonna marry her. Oh, okay. I don't know. Like I said, like I'm doing right now, it distracts me from the book as a whole, and I think it just shouldn't be like that. You don't need to add a love story just to fill space. That's what it was for me.
Yeah, and in my own vision, my own opinion of that is that she read you the line, the ultimate meaning to which all stories refer has 2 faces, the continuity of life, the inevitability of death. If the book would have just ended on that for me, I would have been still confused, still highly confused of what I just read, but highly pleased. But then he adds in the line, you stop for a moment to reflect on these words. Then in a flash you decide you want to marry Ludmilla. And then he dedicated 1 page, just a page, this little page here.
Oh, I forgot about that.
This page, which is just hardly a paragraph, being like, I'm not going to read it all the way through, but it's just, she closes her book, turns off the light, and she's like, are you going to turn off your light too? Are you tired of reading? And he's like, I've almost finished If on a Winter's Night a Traveler by Italo Calvino. One of my least favorite endings to a book ever, because I wish it would have just, there was hints that he liked her, like of course he had feelings for her, they went on this huge journey together, but I wish it would have just left it open to, because by the time I got to the end, for some reason I had completely forgotten about their relationship with each other, this thing they had going on, and I was thinking about what have I been reading this whole time, and I really want to complete this story, not the main story, but the story that they're putting together themselves, and then suddenly this is just kind of forced upon me out of the blue, like out of nowhere, so I did not appreciate that too much, but that's just me.
Yeah, I feel like I keep talking, we keep pushing this on and on, but yeah, that ending, it's like, there's a quote that relates to this, I'm forgetting it right now, but something like, oh, maybe the one I'm thinking of, the chase is better than actually getting what you're chasing.
Oh yeah.
Like the chase is better
than the reward or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But I think this whole book was me chasing. Like I was on a quest. I needed to know. And I would have been so much more satisfied not knowing. I don't want to know that they end up together married. I don't want to know at the end that the reader and his significant other are like, are you done reading? I'm going to turn off the light. I don't need to know that. Like, I feel like it was annoying. I don't need to know your personal life. Just end the book in a place where I can have my own conclusions. And also, it's just like, it's always, where are the strong female characters? You know, like every book I've read this semester, well, not even this semester, my entire life, we talked about this in 422, every class, what am I trying to say? Fuck! Every book I've read in the past year, although I've liked them, more than I've liked books in a very long time, there generally isn't a strong female character except in Persepolis, which of course is awesome, and in real life, that graphic novel, but I don't know. You know, the feminist undertone of my life, of me, is coming out, and I get frustrated. I'm like, you know, you want to end this book in chapter 12 with a man and a wife, and the woman typically is like, do you want me to turn on the lights, honey? Like, fuck off. I don't know. Can we bleep this?
Yeah, we're gonna bleep it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's good that you get emotion out of it, though. I think I said I wouldn't teach it earlier, but I would. It'd have to be a certain set of students.
The man did what I think authors came to do. He got a reaction out of the story. So
I think that's all he really wanted. You know, he clearly didn't write the story to give me a significant life lesson, except there is one at the end. But when I got to the end, I didn't take it as a life lesson because he confused the fuck out of me. Like, sorry.
You bleeps.
How are you gonna bleep? Okay. But yeah, okay, so we kind of chopped that one up, but that's Italo Calvino. What is he? Is he Italian? Calvino? Italo Calvino.
Calvino was raised in Italy, where
He's
he lived
Italian.
most of his life. He died in Siena?
He died?
Siena.
He's dead?
Yeah, he was born in 1923.
I didn't know that.
I
thought this man was alive.
He would be 90...
If he 23...
4, 7, 93.
My great-grandma's 98.
No, true. Well,
okay.
Pick up If on a Winter's Night a Traveler at your local, wherever you buy books. Bye.
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 Give them the razzle.
Bye.
They all razzle.